I'm going to take about 20-30 minutes to talk about SpyCloud and what we do, where we've come from, why we're a little bit different. We're not a silver bullet, one size fits all, but we're a very important part of being able to halt things like ransomware, malware, account takeover, those kind of things. And I'm going to go through what we do and show you some example use cases. So as I go through these example use cases, please have a think about how this may fit in your business. And of course, we're here all day if you have any questions to ask us specifically about your potential requirements. Myself, Neil Cooper, and my colleague Philip will be doing a live demo. They always say never do demos live, so he has the tricky part in case anything goes wrong, but we should be good. So Philip is going to follow me a few minutes down the line. So SpyCloud. We exist to disrupt the cyber criminal in various different elements. There are, broadly speaking, 3 different product groups that we have, but everything we do feeds off the data that we collect. Now, it shows in a later slide, but we've been collecting data for 6.5 years now since we were incepted. Our headquarters is in Austin, Texas. We have one office globally. Everybody works from home. We all work in this new post-COVID environment where we have an office in our house and we work from home. But that within itself has brought a lot of risk to organizations that we call customers. And that people were at home for 2 years. People are using devices that don't have the corporate EDR system on them. So there's more inherent risk. In Europe, we refer to that as BYOD. I'm sure you use the same acronym here. BYOD is great. It's so flexible. But the security guys can't stand it. They hate it because there's so many risks associated with BYOD. But we talk broadly in 3 different areas. We talk about protecting the enterprise, protecting your employees, protecting the corporate data. So we call that enterprise protection. We also talk about protecting consumers and fraud. And we have many customers who have a very large B2C environment. You know, they maybe have hundreds of millions of customers. So we're helping that customer, that enterprise, protect their consumers, protect their hundreds of thousands of airline loyalty customers, or their online banking customers, or their e-commerce customers that are buying things online, as we move from clicks to mortar, from bricks to mortar. But it's also fair to say that there are lots of bricks and mortar, traditional retail organizations that still have the same challenges and the same issues. And last but not least, we do a lot of work with law enforcement. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, how does SpyCloud collect their data? Do you buy the data? Do you steal the data from the criminals? What do you do? Everything we do is above the law. We have many, many law enforcement customers. And the third element of what we're talking about here is called what we refer to as an investigations license. The investigations license allows you to interrogate every single one of our data points in the entire database, which is sitting at in excess of 350 billion assets. I'm going to come back to that in a few seconds. So it's very, very powerful at being able to correlate different events, correlate different data points within those 350 billion and lead them back to, which is essentially driven by bad behavior, because criminals have the same bad behavior that all of us here do today. We reuse passwords. We create passwords with a slight variation. So butterfly123 becomes butterfly124. That's not good. That's easy to get around from a criminal perspective. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So our main mission is to end these activities by the criminal. We're never going to completely be in front of them. We're always going to be playing catch up, but it's a little bit like whack-a-mole. It's a little bit like, you know, one pops up here, we whack it, and another one pops up here. And that's a good way of describing SpyCloud's business. The data collection efforts we go through every single week, go through a process. I'm going to cover that, but we publish the data every. The biggest entry point to ransomware campaigns is account takeover. You know, 60 or 70% of the entry point into an organization for a malware campaign, whether it was successful or not, has been the ability for the criminal to get into an internal system via leaked credentials. And leaked credentials is a big part of what we do. In 2022, we managed to recover data from over 1,800 data breaches in 2022. And that was just the third-party breaches. We collect data in 2 ways. We collect data from third-party breaches. The scenario there being one of your corporate employees uses their email address to register for Amazon. They buy their goods and services, all's going well. Amazon get hacked, and all of a sudden the criminal has your corporate email address, employee, with the password that they were using for Amazon, but I can bet my bottom dollar it'll be very similar, if not the same, to the password they're using to log into your AD, or your Okta, or your Microsoft Online. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. The use of stolen credentials, the part of this slide, the use of stolen credentials is more and more common. It's mostly where large problems come from when we're looking at malware campaigns, when we're looking at account takeover, when we're looking at vulnerabilities or problems or data loss. It's something like 60–70%. I think it's over 80% on the graph, but the real fair figure is 60–70%. So a lot of organizations now have projects they didn't have 3 years ago. Those projects being, they're looking at an account takeover solution. Now, there's key differences in what we do compared to a number of other people. We are not just an account takeover company. That's how we started 6 years ago. But we've very much morphed ourselves into now being a data analytics company and looking at things like threat, post-threat remediation, threat protection, that kind of stuff. So we're going to show you that. We're also going to demonstrate it to you as well. But we've got about 11 or 12 use cases. We can't demonstrate them all, but the one we're going to show you today is specifically aimed at looking at compromised assets. So when someone is coming into your organization with a stolen credential, they're not coming in just to have a snoop around and wonder what they can do. They're usually coming in with a very targeted attack. And that targeted attack is usually going after one of your internal assets like Okta. I keep mentioning Okta because we see it all the time. Or Microsoft Online, or secure token service, or single sign-on. There's various different things